Hello and welcome to BISP Solutions. My name is Ankita and today we are going to learn workforce planning module of EPBCS. So before that, we will first try to understand what workforce planning is. So first we will see the definition of workforce planning. So workforce planning is a process of analyzing existing employees and planning for future staffing requirements through talent gap assessment, developing employee management procedures, and setting recruitment strategies. This requires developing an appropriate and cost-effective strategy for retaining, recruiting, and training the workforce while also continually assessing employee performance. Then we will first understand the goal of the workforce planning. This is to create a strategy for staffing needs that ensures achievement of strategic objectives both now and in the future. So now we have the benefits of workforce planning. So the key benefit is that it creates a long-term recruitment strategy that highlights current workflow issues and analyze future risk. Then deciphering workforce skills, competencies, and gaps could be overlooked by companies. So workforce planning allow managers to understand who to hire in the future and the qualification requirement for the desired post. It also allow leaders to establish metric benchmark to inform executives about workforce risk. They can thereby equip themselves with the tools to identify talent issues before it impact the business goals. Then one need to keep a track of the talent of the organization, that is detailed overview of the headcount in an organization and its productivity level are required to be informed. This info will help reduce requirement cost. The analytics can outline the traits, skills, and characteristics of high-performing employees. We can use these hiring criteria to find candidates more likely more likely to suit business goals and the cultures. Okay, it helps us in identifying the talent gaps. We can make use and helps us in retaining the employee in an organization. Each employee have some or the other skills, so we should always focus on retaining the employee so that we can make use of their skills in somewhere or the other manner. Then we will see the workforce planning process. So the first step is deciding the strategic directions and goals. So the strategic directions and goals should be in accordance with the organization's vision, mission, and goals. Okay, then we will be the implementation of workforce planning will be in accordance with the existing workforce existing in the organization and the plan that is being developed. Just a minute, there is some network issue. Let me see that. So we were on the implementation of workforce planning. So basically, implementation of workforce planning is being done in accordance with the existing workforce that an organization is holding, and the plan that was developed by the planner. Okay, then we need to monitor the results, that is the execution or the implementation of workforce planning, so that if there is any deviations, that can be taken care of immediately. Okay, so now we have the employee life cycle. So a employee life cycle start with the attraction, then onboarding, development, retentions, and lastly separation. So first of all, we find that when the organization is in need of an employee, for that they attract the employees, the skilled workers to for their organization. So for that they used to give the advertisement in and can advertisement by various sources. It can be via newspapers or many other sources, online sources. After that, they are being recruited uh, after interviewing. Then the onboard process takes place, then development, then after then the development they develop their skills. Okay, after that the retention takes place and they separate from the organization. Okay, so this employee life cycle we are going to see in a bit detail while working in the EPBCS module of workforce planning. So for that, first of all, I will let you know how I have created the application. So here we can see that while creating the application, I have named the application here as EPBCS. Then description is mandatory. So here I have description. I have given the description as workforce module demo application. For application type, we need to select modules to enable the workforce planning module into an application. Then here in the next page we can see that we have to select the start and end period, the fiscal month for the first month of the fiscal year, and the distributions and the other relevant details. After that we will review all the details that we have given in the general and the detail section. After reviewing it, we are going to we create an application. So when the application is being created, here we get an option of either to directly click on OK or to configure. Okay, if we want, we can go to the configuration section of the application via clicking on or configure, or else we can click on OK and then we can go to the configuration using navigation flow. So now this is the application that is being created. Okay, now I will make use of the navigation flow here and I will go to the configuration. So here we have the configure. Just a minute. Okay, here we have the configure. Okay, in application. So I will click on it. So here we need to select the module, that is our workforce module. Then we will enable the features of the workforce module. So here I will select the granularity as employee and job. As and when we enable granularity as employee and job, we will get two dimensions into the planning application, that is employee and job both. If we enable only employee, we will get the employee dimension but not the job dimension. And the same goes with the job dimension. If we enable it, then in compensation, we will be enabling additional earnings, benefits, taxes, and then non-compensation expenses. As we all know that non-compensation expense can be the training cost, the recruitment cost, and so on. Okay, so here the merit based planning is we are selecting here as global, as we don't need to give the merit assumptions for each entity separately. Then we will be clicking on the flexible accounting. Okay, we are going to do the mapping drivers are going to be grade. Then we will be doing headcount planning, and then workforce management. I'm going to select here as new hiring, merit based new hiring, then termination and transfer. Okay, so here we have taken all the dimensions that are required. Then I will click on enable. Okay, so here I will click on yes, and then I will click on OK. And yes, I am not able to enable it. There is some issue with the application. Let me check what it is. Time to cover up. It's a bit lengthy process, so it will take some time. Okay, so let me check whether the features has been enabled or not. Okay, so now the features has been enabled. So we can see that we have got few more dimensions here. That is custom dimension, that is component, property, job, employee, union code, highest education degree, skill set, gender, age band. Okay, I will close it. Don't know what is the problem with this application today. So now what I need to do is I need to first sign out and then sign in again after enabling the features into an application. Okay. After doing that, we can see that we have got a new cluster here into the home page, that is workforce. Okay. Now I will again go to the configure in application, and then I will select here the workforce module, and then here we can see that we have the employee, and this is not a mandatory to configure it, so this is optional part. And first, before that, we will first go to the planning and forecast preparation. Okay, so we are going to do a monthly planning. So first I'm going to select here the current fiscal year as FY23, and the current period is going to be October, and we will be planning for the current fiscal year. Okay, so here we are going to do a monthly planning, so I'm going to enable it for all the months. Okay, so here it was about the planning, and then we will come to the forecast section. So here we can see that forecasting is to be done for the 2 years, that is for FY23, FY24, and these are going to be monthly. Okay, after that I will save it. Okay, after that I will close it. Finally, now as we can see that entity dimension is mandatorily to be configured. Okay, so what I will do is I will for understanding purpose, I'm going to enable, that is configure all the dimensions over here. So for that I will go to the, I will enable it by loading all the metadata. Okay, now validate and then import. Okay, after doing this, we can even view check this in the job tab. Okay, we can see that the metadata is being imported. Now I will again go to the configure and will configure all the other dimensions which are asked for in it. So as we can see that entity is a mandatory dimension, so that is to be done mandatorily, and for rest other options we can do or not, means that is these are all optional, so it is not mandatory. So here it is the entity metadata, validate and then import. Then I have the job dimension. I will load the job metadata over here, then validate and then import. After job we have a skill set. I will show you the metadata file after loading all the metadata here. Then we have we will understand benefits and taxes a little later. So for before that I will first configure the other dimensions here, that is union code. Then after union code we have options and tiers. This also we are going to do a little later. So the options are for the benefits that are being given to the employees, means the benefits and the additional earnings. Then tiers are for all the taxes. Okay, then we have the employee properties, which is already given to us. Let me show you this. These are the employee properties which is by default available. Okay, if you want we can add it. I will let you know how we can add the members into the properties. Okay, but after a little later. Here we have the employee demographic. Here we already have the employee demographic as gender, age band and higher education degree. We can even add a few more demographics as per the client's requirement. Then we will be loading a metadata of age band. After that, I will validate and import it. Then we are going to load gender metadata. Here we have it. All the metadata files should be CSV files. Okay, then we have the highest education degree. And after this, we will be loading the component metadata. Then I will validate it and import. So we are, I think we are almost done with every thing. So here we have the salary grade, which we will see a little later. After loading these metadata, we can view the salary grade in this tab. Okay, so workforce assumption, non-compensation expenses, merit rate will all be visible to us. Okay, so before that, now I'm going to first view the job. Okay, so yeah, now I'm going to the overview and then refresh the database. Okay, till it is being refreshed, I will take you to the metadata sheet. I will show you how the metadata actually looks like. Okay, so I will show you the entity metadata which we have. So these are all the CSV files, okay, not an Excel one. So here we have the entity, then the parent member are all mentioned in the column B, then we have the default alias. Okay, then all the rest other properties are all mentioned over here. So this is how the metadata file looks like, which I have loaded. Okay, now I'm going to the job and view whether the data is being refreshed. Yeah, it is being refreshed successfully. Now, after loading the metadata using configure, we will now go to the variable section, which is in tools. Here I am going to define the variables for all the available dimensions. So here I'm selecting I descendants of scenario. For scenario dimension, for version, I'm again going to select the I descendants of version dimension. Then here we have for years, all years. Then for employee, we are going to select the total employee. Okay. Then okay. For job, we are going to take all the job. Then total jobs and its I descendants, the no job as well. There we have the parent employee, so the total employee we are going to consider here as in the form of I descendants. Then for period, it is going to be the beginning balance and the year total. Okay, now after that I will save it. After defining the variables, we will move forward to the user preferences, which is available to us in the rightmost corner in the ribbon. Okay, so here we will be going to define the member from the variable that is being defined previously. So I'm going to select here USD for currency. For entity, I'm going to select here the zero level member. So whenever we define the user preferences, it should be a zero level member. So now I'm going to define the scenario. And then for version, we are going to define the working version here. For year, we are going to define FY23. For employee parent, we are going to define here the OWP, unspecific employee. Okay. Lastly, we are going to define the period over here. After that, I will save the changes that I made in the user preferences in user variable. Okay. Now I will click on workforce. Okay. Now we can see the overview and all the data forms which are available to us. Okay. So here all the forms are visible to us after defining the user variable and preferences. Okay. So now I will take you to the overview of an application. So here we can find that we have two most important cubes in it. After defining the workforce module, we have the OEP workforce planning, then we have the OEP workforce supporting cube. Okay, these two are the BSO cubes in which we write the complicated calculations and input data. These are all being done in these two cubes. Okay, then we have the reporting cube. I'll show you how it is. Okay, so here plan one is a BSO cube. Then EPBCS is an ASO queue which is being which is being created by default while creating an application. Then another one is the reporting queue named OEP RAP. As I told you before, these are OEP workforce planning and OEP workforce supporting cube are the two workforce planning BSO cubes. Okay, now I'll go to the dimension. Okay, I will select the cube here as OEP workforce planning. So in the OEP workforce planning, we will be having the account dimension, period, property, year, employee, job, currency, entity, version, and lastly scenario. I will show you the summary here. Wait a minute. So this is the workforce planning summary. Okay. Then the another cube is OEP workforce supporting cube. So in OEP workforce supporting cube, we have the account dimension, component dimension. So the component dimension was not available to us in workforce planning cube. Then we have the currency, entity, job, period, property, scenario, union code, version, and years. Union code is also a dimension which was not defined in the workforce planning cube. Okay. So now I will show you the dimension structure. So here I'm going to select the cube as OEP workforce planning. Okay, so here we have the system members. Then we have the account here. In the workforce planning account, we hold all the employee properties and other demographics. So all these details are available to us over here. So employee properties we can view here. We have also seen this previously in the configure section as well. Okay, so then we have the compensation assumptions. So all the relevant assumptions are all mentioned into it. Then we have the workforce expenses. So here we have the we will be calculating the total compensation. So the total salary is being calculated on the basis of the basic salary, merits, and transferred salary. So transferred salary is calculated when the employee is being transferred from one department to another department or from one unit to another unit. Okay, so here, so only after that we find the transferred salary in it. Then we have the total earning. So earning can be of various types in an organization. So all these earnings will be visible to us in the total earning section. Then the benefits that are given to the employees are all be visible to us in this part. Then lastly, we will be holding the taxes. Okay. So which all taxes the employees, the organization or the employer is going to deduct from their salary are being taken care of in the total taxes, which is a child of total compensation. Then comes the non-compensation expenses. Here by default we can view that the non-compensation expenses is the training expenses. It can also there can also be an advertisement expenses, recruitment expenses. These can also become a part of the non-compensation expenses. Okay, so this was about the account dimension. Then here we have the age band. So here I have loaded a metadata in the age band. So we can see that we can keep a track record of the employees which are as in accordance to their ages. Okay. Then we have the component. Wait a minute. I need to select OEP-WFP. Okay, so in OEP-WFP, we won't be having any age band and component dimensions. So here we have the currency dimension as we have already discussed. While creating the application, our default currency was the USD. Okay, so when it is a multi-currency application, we can enable the other currencies as well. Okay, for exchange purpose. Then we have the employee dimension. So the employee dimension consists of the all the existing employees into the organization. Okay, so here we can see that the employee numbers are their employee ID, or we can say that their employee ID number are going to be the member number, and the alias is going to be their name, as we can see here. Okay. Then after employee, we have the entity dimension. So entity dimensions, the number of units, the all the units that an organization is holding according to their region are all mentioned here. Okay, so this is about the entity dimension. Then we have the job dimension with us, that is the all the designations are given to us, which will be used to create which will be used to calculate the employee compensation and the salary with the combination of employee dimension. Okay, this will give us a clear picture of us of an employee salary and all the relevant details. Then we have the period dimension, which is a default dimension. I don't think that is to be that requires any explanation. So here we have the properties. Okay, so the property dimension basically create a basically gives us the other basic information, that is the salary basics, the values, the rate at which the values, the amount, expenses amount, okay, the custom expenses, taxable compensation. So all these are available over here. Okay, now non salary properties are the options tiers that we have already created. Okay, we even find that we have actually attached a smart list with all these members. We will see this in bit detail while we will be working on this compensation planning. Then we have a scenario. So scenario is a default dimension. I think this is not required to be discussed. Then the version we have, and lastly the years we will be holding. So this was about the workforce planning cube. Then we have the workforce planning workforce supporting cube. So in workforce supporting cube, we have account dimension here. In account dimension, we will be having the tiers and options, merit rates. Okay, so all these members are visible to us in it. Okay, so tiers are basically, as I've already explained you previously, that tiers are for the calculation of taxes according to the slabs of the employees. Okay, so we will see that in bit details. Then we have the merit rates with us. So merit rate is the is actually we will define this on the basis of the performance of the employees. Okay, so the merit is being calculated accordingly. Then we have the compensation expenses, that is total salary, which is consist of the basic salary and the merits. Here we find that we do not have the transferred salary. Okay, transferred salary member we found in the workforce planning cube. And then we have the earning over here, which is bit similar to the workforce planning cube. Then we have the non-compensation expenses. Okay, so this is how the account dimension of workforce supporting cube looks like. Then we have the component with us. So component is basically gives us the grades. The salary grades is available to us over here, on the basis of which we are going to calculate the salaries of the employees in accordance to their grades and designations. Then the benefits are also given to us. We have loaded the metadata of the component, in which we have loaded the benefit as a medical contribution, provident fund, maternity leave. Then the additional earnings are accommodation allowance, responsibility and transport allowances. And then lastly, we have the taxes as Medicare, social security taxes, state income tax and federal income tax. So we will calculate the compensation on the basis of the component details, on the basis of the component dimensions members. Okay, then rest other members are the same. Okay, there is nothing much difference in it. Okay, now again I will take you to the configure part. In configure, I will again select the workforce module. Okay, so before that, first let me explain you the workforce planning in a bit detail. So here we have the cluster name workforce planning as and when we have enabled it. After that, when I will click on it, we will get 4 cards in it, that is the compensation planning, other expenses, demographic and analysis. Okay, so let us see each and every part, each and every cards in a bit detail over here. So in the compensation planning, first we have the overview of the employee salary details. Okay, so the new hired employee, the headcount comparison, so all the summary will be visible to us in the overview. Okay, then here we have the manage employee tab. Here we will add the hiring requisition of the employee. Okay, where we will see the details of the new hirees and the existing employees. Then the employee details will be available to us in the third tab. Okay, so here we can view the specific employee entire salary detail for the year and their planning in this tab. Then in the fourth tab we will be viewing the transfer details of the employee. So if there is any transfer of the employee in and out, that will be visible to us in this fourth tab. Then here we have the assumptions tab. So in the assumption tab, we are going to input the value on the basis of which the calculation will take place. So first let me explain the entire workforce planning, then I will show you how we will be adding it. Then in here we will be giving the default values. We will see that in bit more detail when we will be calculating the compensation. Okay, so here in the salary part we will be giving all the salary detail related to their grades, then additional in earnings will be taken place, and then benefits and taxes will be taken care of. Then in the validate part we will view the details, okay, of all the validated employees. Then last we have the summary part. Then after compensation planning we have the other expenses. So here we will see the expenses in accordance with the non-compensation expenses by job and the other non-compensation expenses, that can be training expenses, recruitment expenses, and many more. Then demographic. So here we view the demographic detail of the employees. Means in accordance with the, we will see the summary over here in accordance with the genders, in accordance with the age band, their skill set, higher education level. Then in the analysis part, we will get the summary detail of all the headcounts over here, that is the regular versus contract, for analysis purpose and for further planning. Okay, now again I will go to the compensation planning. Then I will go to the assumptions part. Okay, here we are going to give the input for the workforce planning assumption, that is for sales US, which is the entity. So the hours per day working is going to be the 8 hours, so I'm going to consider it as 8. So the hours per week is going to be 40, as we have 5 days working in an organization, so it will be multiplied with 5. Okay, 5 days, so we are going to get the hours per week 40. So working days per month is going to be 22. Okay, we will see partial payment factors a little later in detail. Then we have the merit months. So we are going to set an assumption for merit months in which the salaries merits will be calculated and there will be a raise in their salaries in accordance with their performance. So here we are going to mention the cutoff date as December. Okay. Then we have the salary grade with us in the next tab. So here we are going to select the salary basis. First salary basis are the hourly basis, weekly, annual, bi-weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, and semi-monthly. Okay, so here we are going to consider it as monthly for grade 1, and I will mention it as $10,000. So these are the basic assumptions that we are going to define, on the basis of which we will add an employee and the calculation will take place. Okay, now we have the merit rates. So for merit rates we have no merit rates and default merit rates. Okay, so we can add the member in the configure section, okay, to define the merit rates, on the basis of which we will be calculating the salary. Okay, so that part we are going to cover tomorrow. Okay, with the help of the assumptions, how we give the default value and then calculate the salary of an employee. So that's all for today. For any more details, please feel free to contact. Thank you.